Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. My lovely bride just dropped by the control booth here at Focal Point, and Rob Gardner, my director, spoke into my earpiece, and so Debbie just stopped by and chatted with him for a minute, and Rob said, you married way above your pay grade. And I said, Rob, I know that. I married way out of my league. So Debbie impressing the staff here on Focal Point. She is a delight and the delight of my eyes. Now, want to turn our attention to the sanctity of life issue. Had some powerful testimony yesterday on Capitol Hill by Dr. Anthony Levatino. He is a pro-life physician from the state of New Mexico who had a change of heart on the abortion issue. He had a daughter who died in a tragic automobile accident. He realized the sense of grief, the sense of loss, the vacuum this created in his soul, and he realized that by practicing abortion, he was doing that to other women. It was like he was responsible for creating this hole in their soul, a missing child. And he performed 1,200 abortions at least over the course of his career. And he gave testimony yesterday about what goes on to Congress now, supporting a bill by Representative Trent Franks that would protect babies in America from the moment they can feel pain. Now, we know for a fact that it's at least at 20 weeks. And now there's good reason to think that babies can feel pain as early as 8 weeks. In fact, some suggest that the pain that babies feel at 20 weeks is even more acute than the pain that adults experience because of the way in which the nervous system develops, that they are more acutely sensitive to pain at 20 weeks than they are at full term and as adults. So they may be acutely sensitive to pain. And so Representative Franks, one of the really good guys there, is working on this bill that would protect human life in America from the moment that a baby can feel pain in the womb. So this doctor, Dr. Levatino, is describing for members of Congress what goes on in an abortion. And I want to alert you that this is graphic. This is just testimony. He's just telling the truth about what happens. This is like somebody coming in telling the truth about what happened in the gas chambers at Auschwitz. It's chilling. It's horrific. It's sobering. So I just want to warn you that this is strong stuff here, but this is the reality of what happens in Planned Parenthood clinics 334,000 times a year. Every 94 seconds, Planned Parenthood does to a baby what you are about to hear. Let's listen. Clip 1.
When you're done, reach for a SOFR clamp. This is one that I brought along so you could see what we're talking about. It's about 13 inches long. It's stainless steel. The business end on this clamp is about ½ inch wide and about 2.5 inches long. And there are rows of sharp teeth on this instrument. It's a grasping instrument, and when it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A second trimester abortion at that stage is a blind procedure. You can't really see anything. Everything has to be done by feel. Picture yourself, if you can, reaching in with this instrument and grasping blindly anything you can, and pull hard. And when it finally pops free, out comes a leg that big, which you put down on the table next to you. And reach in with this again, and grasp, and pull hard. Out comes an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And reach in with this instrument again and again, and tear out the spine, the intestines, heart and lungs. Head of the baby about that age is maybe the size of a large plum. Again, the procedure is blind. You reach in, being careful not to perforate the uterus, and you have a pretty good idea you have it if you have your clamp around something and your arms, your fingers are spread about as far as they will go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the clamp and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you can pull out skull pieces. You had a day like I had a lot of days, sometimes a face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations. You just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose. These procedures are brutal.
These procedures are brutal, and of course he's speaking from his personal experience. Very, very sobering. testimony. And the fact, you just think about it, ladies and gentlemen, the fact that we allow this to go on in America, it is inhumane, it is brutal, it is subhuman, it is savage. And the mere fact that we allow this to go on, this brutal dismembering of babies in the wombs of their mothers, the shedding of innocent blood, it's like Thomas Jefferson said, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just and his justice cannot sleep forever. Now, here is clip number 2. Again, this is testimony from a former abortionist, Dr. Anthony Levatino, about what goes on in a late-term abortion.
As a faculty member at the Albany Medical College, I have treated hundreds of women with severe problems with their pregnancies that were life-threatening to them. Cardiac disease, diabetes, cancers, toxemia, elevated blood pressure in pregnancy. I'll illustrate with one case that I dealt with personally. A patient came in at 27 weeks of gestation, blood pressure 220 over 140. You know, a normal blood pressure is 120 over 80. This woman is moments or hours away from a stroke. We stabilized her, delivered her. She had a healthy baby in the end, and she did well as well. But I was able to stabilize and deliver her within an hour, because that was required when you have an emergency of that magnitude. Abortion would be worthless in that situation. As I told you, at 27 weeks of gestation, it would have taken at least 3 days to even prepare her to be able to go through the procedure.
And so he says, look, the way I saved that woman's life, yeah, it was life-threatening. The way I saved that woman's life was by delivering her baby. He's talking about pregnancies that are 21, 22, 24 weeks along and further. He says, yeah, sometimes you have a condition that may be life-threatening for the mother, but the way you solve that problem is you deliver the baby. You perform a cesarean section and you deliver the baby. And he said the number of times, because you can't do an abortion. It takes 3 days to do an abortion in those circumstances, 36 hours for the cervix to dilate and so forth. You don't have that kind of time in an emergency situation like this. And so he said at the end of his testimony, during my time at Albany Medical Center, I managed hundreds of such cases by, quote, terminating pregnancies to save mothers' lives. And what he meant by terminating the pregnancy is not performing an abortion, but delivering the baby by cesarean section. That's how he saved the life of the mother. He saved the life of the mother, and he saved the life of the baby. And he says this, in all those hundreds of cases, the number of unborn children that I had to deliberately kill was 0. Now, my point in this is you were going to hear the abortion lobby, the pro-genocide lobby, the pro-black genocide lobby, the eugenics lobby that wants to exterminate black children because they're noxious weeds. That's the thinking of Planned Parenthood. That's what the founder of Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger, said. That's how she thought of black babies. They're noxious weeds. We've got to exterminate the Negro population. That was her word, her words, not mine. And that mentality is still a part of Planned Parenthood today. That's why they locate their clinics in minority neighborhoods. 75 to 80% of Planned Parenthood clinics are in minority neighborhoods. Why? Because they are targeting black babies. It's a form of genocide. But you're going to hear the pro-abortion lobby say, oh, you have to have abortion, these late-term abortions, to save the life of the mother. Here's a guy that did 1,200 abortions. He dealt with hundreds of cases where there was some threat to the life of the mother. He never once had to kill a baby, not one single solitary time. The way he terminated the pregnancy is by giving that baby life through cesarean section. So do not let the pro-death forces deceive you or confuse you about that. You're listening to Focal Point on AFR Talk. The number to call if you want to join the conversation is 888-589-8840. We'll take some of your calls. So hang on, Barbara in Columbus. We'll take your call coming out of the break. A couple of other items before we go to the break. And again, this is political correctness just run crazy. A Canadian school now has banished Mother's Day and Father's Day. They have decided to cancel Mother's Day and cancel Father's Day celebrations out of sensitivity for non-traditional families. So now they're just going to have one inclusive holiday, the International Day of Families. And this year, students were not even allowed to make cards specifically for Mother's Day. Now, this is absurd because everybody has a mother. Everybody has a mother. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have a mother. But here is the school in all of its benighted wisdom prohibiting its students from even making a Mother's Day card. One of the shovel-ready projects, again, according to the Obama stimulus plan, it was supposed to fix all these bridges. Remember, he said, shovel-ready projects, we got infrastructure, we're going to rebuild, we got bridges that are falling apart, I'm going to take care of that, give me $1 trillion, I'll go out there, fix all those bridges, all those potholes. Well, you got a bridge just collapsed in Washington. And the Democrats are trying to blame that on the Republicans. Well, hold up, the taxpayers, well, you just borrowed it actually, but you just had $1 trillion to work with to fix this bridge. How come it fell in? Whose fault is that? You've had 4 years to work on that. Nothing's been done. So don't come looking to blame the Republicans on that. Here is the description of this project to help Latinas resist sex in middle school. According to the grant description, $434,000 of your money, my money, our grandkids' money went into this project. This study will test a prototype for a game that builds the skills that Latinas, this is young Latino girls, that Latinas need to resist pressure to engage in intercourse when they are in middle school. The project has been completed, says Barbara Abney, the Director of Marketing and Communications at the University of Central Florida. 44 low-income early adolescent Hispanic girls took part in the study, which included peer-resistant skill curriculum, followed by specially developed technology-assisted social interaction game play. They found that by using an avatar-based, that means a computer game, an electronic game, an avatar-based virtual reality peer resistance skill building game in combination with curriculum, teenage girls were better able to resist peer pressure to participate in risky behavior. So $434,000 to play computer games created a grand total of 0.91 jobs, less than one job created for $434,000. That is the Obama stimulus plan at work. Focal Point AFR Talk, back in 2.